It's C&B for Resolve Technology. Today, we wanted to go over 7 new Copilot features in Microsoft 365. Do you want to start with something, Brian?
No, you
No?
can take it away,
Okay.
Chris. Go for it.
So we just stumbled upon this, how AI is all I see lately is articles, more and more businesses, especially small businesses, leveraging AI, leveraging Copilot for Microsoft 365. There's a lot of new features, and one of the big ones this month, I think it's insiders only right now, but it's coming out in July, you saw in an article, is you can now generate images directly in a Word and PowerPoint document. So say you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, say we're doing it. We want to do a cybersecurity awareness PowerPoint. We have a bunch of a bulleted list of key talking points we're going to have. We could just ask Copilot to generate an image about what's doing the work for us at that point.
I thought you were going to say bull blank. I was like, wait. Instead of bull, it's a bunch of bull. You know what?
It's a Red Bull. The BS.
So,
remember that client? BS was the password.
So basically, how does that work? Like you just type in what you're looking for in terms of an image, and then boom, you can do it right within PowerPoint.
Yep, it's saying it's gonna. For Word and PowerPoint, it generates images, and you can search for stock images using Copilot via Microsoft Designer.
Okay.
I don't know much on this Microsoft Designer though. I've heard of it, but it's not something. I think it's something to do. Yeah, it's mostly artwork and image based.
So like internally, so like our graphics person, marketing and stuff, they use what's the online, it's not coming to me right now, but there's a competitor. Microsoft is basically doing a version of their own of these online creator programs.
Yeah.
I can't remember the one that we use, but anyway, so I think that's their version of it. So basically the designer, I would guess, is to do social media posts, marketing, that sort of thing. And I think it's a free program.
Looks like that OpenSea, that NFT platform to me, where it's just a bunch of digital art or something. But another big thing that's happening, we did a YouTube video on NVIDIA RTX chat, which it's like you're locally using your graphics card to use it as a conversational chatbot or various features. But we showcased that you could throw in its little data set there, like a PDF you had, and it could pull information out. It looks like that Copilot for Microsoft 365 is going to allow you to reference PDFs, emails, and meetings in Word. And this started last month. They rolled out this ability to reference PDFs and encrypted Word docs using Copilot in Word. This month, they will also add the ability to reference Microsoft Cloud Info, which includes emails and meetings. So everything's coming together here. We're starting to see the rollout of things from Teams, your calendar, etc. One other big one I wanted to show is the new features in Excel. So they added 3 new Copilot features for Excel, and all of them are coming this month. So Copilot now works with data ranges resembling tables with headers along a single row. It's more efficient than before, they're saying, and you won't need to format data before calling in Copilot to handle some sort of request. The edit box is available no matter which cell you have selected, so you can use Copilot without needing to worry about where you are in your spreadsheet. And Copilot will be more conversational with its responses to questions about Excel data, including step-by-step instructions for certain tasks. This is big to me because I know a lot of people who they work with Excel, but they have all these formulas. And I've known a few people like, oh, I'm a programmer. I use Excel. What are you talking about? I create formulas in there. I can see Copilot completely, you could put a novice here and they could do a lot of this stuff with formulas without knowing, and they just and they'd probably learn 10 times quicker than someone that spends years and years messing with Excel. If you have that conversational chatbot element that's giving you step by step and making it more efficient at the same time.
So it's almost like a learning tool for somebody who's a novice. And at the same time, it's inevitable, but these people are doing data analysis and number crunching and things like that. It's all going to be done easily within the Microsoft Office suite in Excel and stuff. You can do it with ChatGPT. It can quickly summarize and make tables and analyze financial data and things like that. Yeah, this stuff is just, it's going to reduce the amount of people that are needed to accomplish rudimentary tasks.
So there's 2 other big features that I think will be huge for like our clients specifically. Copilot in Teams. So they're mentioning something about chatting with at work, like you're talking but with your colleagues at work. There's a new Teams feature rolling out called Copilot Integration in Teams Chats and Channel. After typing your message, you can prompt Copilot to adjust your words any way you want, and then add to a call action make it persuasive, almost like Grammarly kind of does, where it shows you like your feedback on your writing, or convert my message into a list and add inclusive language. So say Brian gave me a to-do list for the day. He could just write out a paragraph or so in a Teams chat. And then with this feature, it could do a bulleted list, like to-do list for today. So you might think your boss sent you the team a handwritten message, or you're having a fun chat with a coworker, but for all they use Copilot to change their words, and you may be chatting with a LLM, which is what acronym for large language model.
So eventually what you see here starting to come together is, if at least in the 365 ecosystem, is you're going to just pull, it's not seamless yet. The AI is going to look at your team's history, your word history, the documents that you've been working on, PowerPoints, Excel, and you'll easily be able to pull together reports and summarize things that may have taken you hours or days before to
Right.
pull that all together, and you might not even be able to find half that stuff.
Yeah. And their example here goes, add a joke about web design. They give you an example in Teams about this and that. For example, Brian sends these videos off to an editor, and they pretty much use, what is it, CSS? They fix us up. They put lipstick on.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the competitor to the Microsoft Designer. It's Canva that we use. So I send them off for editing, and Canva does most of the heavy lifting for the editing and stuff.
Another thing, this is a big one, is a lot of people live in SharePoint and they use OneDrive, right? A lot of people mix up OneDrive and SharePoint. OneDrive is just the sync client that syncs files to the desktop, or you share them out. But a lot of that data that you have on your desktop, that is SharePoint documents, it is SharePoint data. So they're saying that Copilot lets you rewrite content in SharePoint. If you use the app to create websites for your organization or dashboard pages for certain departments, you'll be able to use familiar Copilot tools to rewrite text. The landing page, maybe you have an intranet landing page. You can now rewrite some of that information, because things change. Like even us, we got to constantly update our internal documentation to reflect certain changes to software, hardware, other organizational assets, people even. This is going to allow you to rewrite some of that content on those landing pages if they're using them. A lot of people just want the documents. Now you can use them directly in SharePoint, and that's rolling out this month. And then there's also Copilot and Loop. You're more the Loop guy than I am.
Yeah, I haven't used it in a while. I messed around with it a little bit. I forget Notion. So Loop is the competitor to Notion AI, I think it is. So Notion is almost like an ongoing journal where you can just dump all your company information in there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of like startup companies that like to use that software. So Microsoft came along and they developed Loop, right? And Loop is basically a competitor to that. It's a place where you can store all this various Microsoft 365 data and all your documents and link it all together and things like that. I think it still needs some polish before people really start implementing that. And I think they're still trying to figure out where it fits in with SharePoint and Teams and all this stuff, because you got all these different 365 apps going on. But I can see this whole ecosystem fitting together better, because you have all these random applications, but if the AI is doing the retrieval of information and it's doing it in a very quick fashion, almost instantaneous, we don't have to rely on our brain anymore to try to figure out where stuff is. So it blows away the old file explorer filing system where, you have like cabinets of information. That's the way our brains like to work, is we like to compartmentalize. We still have clients that can't get away from that. Like they can't wrap their head around SharePoint. So they're still using a typical file server, or they try to set up a cloud environment as like a file server, which is fine. But I think this is just going to pull all this information together and make it easier to retrieve.
Yeah, you'd need a lot of horsepower if you wanted to do this all locally hosted with your own graphics cards. That's a lot. That's going to cost you millions, man, especially for larger businesses. But we have clients where they like to call it a digital filing bin, where they're using a multifunctional printer. They're scanning documents up, and those PDFs are getting sent to SharePoint. There's been several times where we've stood up a new SharePoint team site, and it's it's specifically to move them away from hard copies. And generally, I just face it with, yeah, I can granularly set who has permission. But if there's social security numbers in there and personal information, you got to be careful. And then that discussion of do you trust Microsoft with your data comes into play. Is it something that needs to be in the cloud, or is it something that probably needs to be locked away on premise?
Right. I think most people are okay with keeping it in the 365 ecosystem because we work mainly with small businesses, maybe a medium-sized business here and there. But most businesses are okay with it as long as it stays contained in that Microsoft environment. They do a pretty good job of protecting it.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add on this? The only thing I can think of is when it starts helping you name. This might be a feature and I'm unaware, but one thing I noticed that a lot of businesses struggle with is naming conventions. You have Outlook for Mac, for example, that Mac OS allows special characters, right? And if you use certain illegal characters in the file name, OneDrive, whether it's using in OneDrive or getting synced back to the cloud to SharePoint, it doesn't like those illegal characters. It causes a sync issue. And we've had a YouTube video on this before. What if AI comes in and helps you when they have it built into those like that? It helps you prevent what if it could resolve sync issues for you? I think cloud syncing with OneDrives were even Windows sometimes has sync issues. If we could integrate that and help clients have better naming conventions and folder layout, that's the real bread and butter that people would.
That's an interesting point because that would be a beautiful thing because, yeah, we have a couple clients where if it just automatically renamed it based on a rule, okay, you set up this A rule. If you see too long of a file name, over 20 characters long, right?
Yeah.
Then cut it down or reject it or whatever, right? Or let the user know. Like that would be a great thing in like SharePoint, like a template, and this whole AI ecosystem.
A template. They name it what they want and the template kicks in, almost like an exchange mail flow rule. If it hits this condition, and you might be able to do something like this with Power Automate. I'm not 100% sure, but
that's a good point.
That's mostly SharePoint lists though, and that's a whole nother topic. But if you could, naming conventions are huge, and that's even more important for us. If you have multiple clients, you try to keep all the computer names to a certain standardization with the Microsoft tenants, with something as simple as how you name and store files. It's something a lot of businesses, it creates chaos and confusion, and it makes them less efficient. They're more inefficient because of the chaotic structure they have with something as simple as files or even their inbox. We see this all the time. Maybe AI soon will clean up inbox folders. You have 17 nested inbox folders nested within each other, and then you got like 400 folders total with 800 emails in each, and you're running out of space. What if Copilot could help with that?
Yeah, this is
there
food
goes
for
our
thought.
Job security.
We'll leave it at that. This is food for thought for the Microsoft people. So if they happen to stumble upon this video, probably not. But if any of the developers stumble upon this video, Chris just gave you some good food for thought that would help out organizations keep this stuff clean.
I close on their Windows 11 Insider build, bricked my computer. I had to roll back.
That's another video. All right, we'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Bye.